Hi, I'm Sadie Clayton. I'm the Head of Industry Engagement and Partnerships at LCCA, and welcome back to our Making It series, Creative Careers Unlocked. And today I'm at the one and only Otiumberg here in Holland Park. I'm going to be interviewing Áine McCourt, who's the CEO. Follow me. It's so amazing that you students have the access to hear all about how to become a CEO in fashion. It's unheard of. So Áine, what an amazing title to hold.
Thank you.
So let's go back to the beginning. How did you end up where you are today? I want to know, what did you study? What were the bits that you loved when you were studying? And then how has it brought you into where you are today? Not forgetting your most recent qualification too.
Basically, I started in retail. I started on the shop floor in a denim retailer in Australia called Jeans West, fits best.
Love it.
I started my studies in international trade. Kind of after the first year thought, this is a little bit boring, I'm not into it. And I wanted to study something a bit more creative. So I landed on a business course. It was actually an advanced diploma, but it specialised in advertising. I thought that the advertising world seemed really interesting and creative, but also business-like. I was working away in retail and studying basically business with a advertising kind of specialty. And when I finished that course, I was like, I don't want to do this either. Said to my manager where I was working in retail, I was like, you should make me a manager because I finished my course and I don't really want to go into advertising and I love retail. And they were like, great, well you can start as an assistant manager. And so from there I kind of worked my way up. I started as assistant manager, then I moved to manager.
So actually at this point, you did that whole thing of, if I don't ask, I'm not going to get. And you was like, excuse me, I want to be a manager. So that's amazing. It's a great little takeaway there, guys. Like the fact that Áine was working in retail, like a lot of fashion students, and you just think, actually, I need to better the role that I'm in. So I'm going to ask. If you don't ask, you don't get, right? So that's amazing. That's what you did. And also another point to note, Áine didn't like what she was studying. You know, when she'd finished, she didn't want to do that anymore. That's quite an interesting point and quite a pivotal moment in her career. So let's continue and see what happens.
So I just thrived. And I think that is one thing I would impart to students today is that retail is a stepping stone into this industry. And I think a lot of students maybe don't really see it for what it is. It's, you know, it's dealing with customers face to face. There's no emails, there's no text messages. You are learning people skills and how to sell and sell yourself, sell products. That is invaluable. And I think I didn't even really know that I was doing that at the time, but like now when I look back at it, I'm like, that's what made me such a good salesperson. And sales was really where I thrived. I loved the like cha-ching at the till, obviously, but I also loved the human side of it, right? So seeing what we're selling, the product, the clothes, when you're making people feel amazing in an environment that they don't necessarily feel comfortable. So I love those two things I really loved.
And this is still in Australia?
Yeah. So and still like in my early 20s, very early on. I kind of progressed through there. I loved team. I loved working in a team, and so I moved into becoming their state trainer.
Oh wow.
So anybody new that started with Jeans West in my state in Victoria had to come to me to be trained.
Oh wow, so there's a little bit of education in there as well then.
Yeah, loved that. Actually, this is a good story. They sacked me.
Oh, what?
Why?
Shock horror, she got sacked.
All the cool girls get sacked. And then I kind of went through this legal battle with them where I had to like sit in a room in a tribunal with all of these senior managers, and I decided not to have any legal representation. I wanted to represent myself, which is important, as you know now.
Yes.
And I won the case that they'd sacked me unfairly.
But why had they sacked you, or can you not say?
Basically, my assistant manager had put a sale through on a day when I wasn't there, so they sacked both of us because it was against protocol. And they were trying to make a point of doesn't matter who you are,
Right.
you have to follow protocol.
Oh.
That was a really pivotal moment because I was on this really high trajectory and then really got cut down.
Yeah, with a click of a finger.
Basically. But I was really proud of myself for standing up for myself and winning the case essentially. But at that moment I was like, right, I need to do something really different. I had a bit of a bad taste in my
I'm going to
mouth,
say,
really,
yeah, it felt a bit bitter.
And a friend of mine was working for General Pants up in Sydney, which is the Australian version of Urban Outfitters.
Yeah.
She was like, why don't you come up to Sydney, move up to Sydney? Like, there's lots of opportunity up here. I'm working at General Pants. So I went and interviewed in Sydney, and I actually moved into wholesale at that point. So not really knowing, I just was interviewing with wholesale agents to come in and be, I mean, this was so long ago, I think my title was Girl Friday. The Friday girl.
I love that.
It was a long time ago, you wouldn't call it that now today. Basically, I came in as an admin assistant into what was an agency and a distribution environment in wholesale in Sydney. So again, I didn't really understand what it was that they did, but I knew it was fashion and I knew it was like the next step out of retail. I knew wholesale was where to go.
And again, you're sort of taking that risk, aren't you, of not really knowing entirely what the role is, not really knowing much about the brand, but actually you've got that attitude of, yes, I'll learn on the job and let's get it done.
Basically. Pack my life into a suitcase, move to another state, let's give it a go. And it, you know, it turned out to be an amazing experience because I then went on to start my own agency. So what I didn't know was that I was getting all of this experience. So I was doing the nuts and bolts, I was chasing money for them, you know, I was setting up the showroom, all these little bit of everything, listening to how they were selling, how they were doing it. And so that was kind of my first foray into it and understanding how important it was that wholesalers paid you.
Yes, of course.
Through my friend who was working at General Pants, I would meet founders of brands, you know, because she was a buyer there and we would go and socialise with them. And a big brand in Australia was called One Teaspoon. It was a denim brand and they were looking for a sales manager. So that was the next step, just move from admin into sales. And then from there, I just absolutely loved it. So, you know, I was traveling all around Australia, meeting all the different retailers and selling the product.
Wow, fantastic.
Into the stores. But at the same time, I was also managing all of our agents interstate. Who were selling on our behalf. When I came to the end of my time at One Teaspoon, I just thought, you know, there's an opportunity for an agent, because what I was always frustrated with was, you know, they didn't feel like they worked completely in-house for us. And I thought there's an opportunity for an agency where I could do it better and feel like for the brand that I worked in-house for them. And so that's what I did. I pitched the idea to mum and dad and I asked them for some money to get it started.
And were your parents from a creative background at all?
No, not at all. I think they kind of liked that I was in a creative industry, but I was always like very business. Yeah,
business
sales.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the creative would have scared them, you know,
But that's quite a common narrative, I guess, isn't it? And especially with certain cultures with our students
100%.
and WP students, like, you know, a lot of parents want students to go down the more business route, the more academic route, but actually you can still be creative in a creative business, but also bring in that business mind.
Definitely.
And shine in that way as well.
Definitely. I mean, you know, my dad was a builder, my mum was a public servant, so like fashion to them was just like, you're joking.
What do you mean? Yeah, of course. So you started your own agency then? In Australia?
Yeah.
Wow, what was it called?
It was called The Wardrobe.
Oh, fab.
Yeah, and I built that over nearly 10 years. So I built it to 10 million.
Wow.
And I had 2 showrooms, one in Sydney and one in Melbourne. And I ended up representing One Teaspoon.
Hang on, so let's just rewind. That's a big deal, right? From working on the shop floor, selling product, to
getting sacked.
Getting sacked, yeah, let's not forget that bit. Then becoming a sales manager and then opening her own company, her own agent with 2 showrooms, turnover of 10 mil. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
That's like, bravo on you, you know? So tell us a little bit more about that. Like, how did you find the relationship working with other brands, and like what was your business model like, and were you ever a bit nervous, or did you ever have that thing where a lot of small independent brands have, like, have I got enough money to, you know, make ends meet? Like, can I, you
Yeah.
know, rent on my showroom, etc.
What I did when I started the business was I surrounded myself with people who had built businesses. I was constantly out having coffees. It didn't matter if they weren't in fashion. Like, one of the best mentors I had worked in the digital space. And his advice was always like, if you can just get past year 3, you will survive. Like, most businesses will fail in that first initial stage. So if you can get past year 3, you'll feel it. You'll feel a bit of breathing space. The first 3 years, I was just like paddling, you know, duck on the top, feet underneath.
Yeah. So how many brands did you have at this point?
I would represent the brand and I would sell it to all the retailers in Sydney.
wholesale?
Yeah. So my relationships were with like the David Jones department stores,
Right.
Maya, you know, all the independent boutiques.
Yeah.
So I'm well versed on the wholesale model. So I had an agency model. I moved into distribution. I also opened my own retail store.
Wow.
And I
Entrepreneur, darling.
Yeah, I also had a small little in-house brand. So what I noticed sometimes was that the designers there'd be gaps. So there was things missing that I just knew retailers would pump with.
Yes.
So I had a little gap filler that I would use. Yeah. So I had a lot going on. It was great. It was like, I look back at it now and I think it was so wonderful. It was such an amazing time. But you know, when you're in it, you're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
It's hard to kind of see the wood for the trees.
Yeah, of course.
And obviously having like lots of staff, it's challenging because you want to, you know, keep all of them really happy. And
How many staff did you have?
I think at its peak, I probably had 10 staff.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Even like all the HR side of
Yes.
running your own business, like there's so many different elements that
Yeah.
you've got to think about and juggle. And you know,
Totally.
having that kind of collaborative headspace and mindset to be able to
Yeah.
think about and multitask.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors
Yeah.
here. And also transferable skills, perhaps what you've learned whilst on the shop floor, you know, you're bringing that
Yeah.
back into your business, working with customer relations, etc. So it all kind of, encompasses this CEO role that you have now.
That first agency role where I was the everything person.
Yes.
You know, when I had my own agency, all of a sudden, all those skills that I was thinking,
you
oh
could use
God,
them.
I was so bored, like chasing money all the time. But I was able, as an agent, to be like, right, that's the #1 priority. We have to make sure we've got good payers,
Yes.
cash flow, all that kind of thing.
So you had the company for 10 years.
Yeah.
Then why did you sell it? Did you go, but like what happened there?
No, I didn't. I just closed it down.
Overnight?
Yeah. Everyone was like, what are you doing?
That's a bold move on you.
Yeah, I had a kind of sense that I had a sense that like wholesale was really difficult and it was becoming harder and harder. Sometimes I felt like it was kind of a bad business model because I could never really relax. I was always dependent on the designer getting it right.
Yes.
And then the buyer buying it right.
Yeah, of
And
course.
so I could have been
Then
the
the
best.
buyer returning next season because it did well. Yeah, of
Exactly.
course.
And then you'd build a brand and it wouldn't become no longer commercial for them to pay me as an agent. They would get an in-house salesperson. So you're always like building and losing, and you'd have a sweet spot for a few seasons where a brand was like absolutely
Nailing it.
But then it would move, you know. So I kind of got a bit fed up of just that constant volatility. I decided that I had international aspirations. I wanted to
Get out and see the world, yeah.
work and live overseas. And I was either New York or London, and I was born in Ireland, so I had the Irish passport. So I was like,
Lucky.
London it is.
So at this point, you've closed your business overnight and you've thought, right, I'm going to jump on a plane and head over to London. And you land and you know anybody? Nobody?
Nobody.
Wow.
Yeah. So where do I start? I mean, hustling, just applying for jobs. What was really difficult is that, you know, when you do something like that, when I was leaving Australia, I was like a big fish
Yes.
in a small pond.
course.
Come to London and I had no idea,
Yeah.
you know, like I would go to interviews with recruiters and they would be like, you're not interviewing very well. I've got to tell you. And I was like,
Sorry, what? What do you mean?
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So I had to really start again.
Which is why, sorry to interrupt, but this is why interviewing and doing like little role play interviews is so important.
Completely.
So you can get that practice on how to interview, you know, what to say, get that feedback, and then you know, you can be your best version at the real thing.
Absolutely. So I had to do a lot of like very much soul searching, like starting from the beginning, going back to like skill set. Okay, you know, taking that on board. All right, I'm interviewing badly. How do I interview well?
Yeah.
And so then I found a sales role for a little dress brand called Emily and Finn. Yeah, I started as their sales manager. They took a risk on me, not having any international experience. Another woman kind of looked at it and was like, you've got the goods. I think you can make this happen. So that was great, because what that role taught me was how the Northern Hemisphere sales works. And it's so different to the Southern Hemisphere.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, do you think it's to do with like climate as well, because it's so different?
It's also just on a different schedule. Yeah, Australia is so far away from the rest of the world. It has a really strong independent brand culture. We sell all the time.
Yeah.
In the Northern Hemisphere, you're dominated by fashion weeks. You've got the Paris Fashion Week, London Fashion Week, and then the
Milan.
Yeah, all of that, and the sales schedule is really different to Australia. So I had to learn all of that. Trade shows aren't really a thing in Oz.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I had to learn how to set up a trade show, stand on the stand, and get buyers to come and meet me at the trade show. And but again, I think I just had so much passion for it, and
I think that's half the battle, isn't it? Sometimes, like having the passion, the motivation, the determination, that kind of like fake it till you make it attitude.
100%.
It's so important, isn't it?
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, that was it. I was like, I can't have put everything in a 23 kilo suitcase and come here for no reason.
I've got to make this work.
I've got to make this work. That role was great because it really taught me how it worked.
And how long were you in that role for?
So I was probably in that role for maybe 2 years.
Okay.
But I buddied up to the UKTI, the UK Trade and Investment. And so I was able to go on some trips to America and like learn all about distribution over there and meet agents and finance people and 3PLs and all this kind of like non-sexy stuff, but actually
it worked for you.
It's the nuts and bolts of how businesses work. So that was great. And then from there I met our mutual friend Kat, Kat McConey. And Kat, being the serial entrepreneur that she is and the visionary, was like, you are so much more than sales. Come on board and help me, you know, build my shoe business. She very quickly, I started in sales, but then I moved into like finance, operations, all that kind of like back end of the business.
And obviously she's like such a global brand. And for those of you that have not yet seen or heard of Kat McConey, we actually ran a guest speaking session during the Careers Development Week. So please do make sure that you check out Kat McConey. All her collaborations are fantastic. She's now got a children's brand that she's launching called Hippo Parade. And again, that kind of business and creativity colliding together is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Kat had kind of made me like her operations manager or COO at that point.
Did you ever feel a sense of like imposter syndrome? Because you've left what you know and your home.
Yeah.
You've entered a whole new country, a whole new different part of the world, and now this brand's obviously taken a liking to you and thought, she can do this. Or were you like, no, actually, I know what I'm doing and I've got it?
I think you wouldn't be human if you didn't doubt yourself a little bit at times.
Sometimes that fire's kind of good as well. I think a lot of students often feel like, oh, I'm anxious, oh, I'm not good enough, or I'm not this. But actually, to have that fire, and it's called adrenaline. If you didn't have it, you wouldn't be alive. You know, I think it keeps you going, doesn't it? Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it forces me to like double check my work. And like, you know, I do things like, actually, I'm gonna just recheck all of those formulas. So I think it does things like that for you. It never really like paralyzed me. There are times where, you know, I don't have an economics degree. I don't have a finance degree. What I've learnt in how to run a business, I learnt from making mistakes.
Yes, of course. So you're wise. You've got the experience, the hands-on experience, which now you can take into the brands.
And I learnt from, you know, another thing for the students is that like water cooler chat. You know, I learnt from the lawyers over the jobs that I've had, like I would sit in the meetings and listen to how the lawyers spoke, and I would ask questions about what does that mean.
So you were proactive.
I would listen to the accountants and the accounts people or the finance people. The other people I always listen to in the business is the merchandiser.
Right.
The merchandiser is your numbers person. The merchandiser is your product person.
Yeah.
I'm always BFFs with the merchandiser.
Yeah.
But then you know what? I know CFOs who doubt themselves sometimes. I think it's a human thing, and I think it's okay to feel that
I think
way.
you've got to, otherwise you've got an ego, and where does ego get you?
Nowhere.
You know, it's important.
Absolutely.
What I've begun to realise is that a lot of your career history so far has been around female-led brands.
Yeah.
And these kind of female-dominated teams.
Yeah.
Just kind of fast forward to today, you're a female CEO. How does that make you feel, and where do you sit in that space when it's predominantly kind of male-dominated?
I've been so lucky to be surrounded by really amazing, supportive women. It only comes up when I suppose it only comes up when you're dealing with a difficult male.
Yeah.
And I've had that experience too, where I was COO in a business, and the CEO was male, and we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, and so that was really difficult. But I think I'm incredibly proud of myself. I think about it a lot, like I've got a stepdaughter who's 5, and like when I'm doubting myself, I often think like, no, you need to show her.
Yes.
That this inspire her, and also, to the team that I have around me, the young women that I work with, that
you're the role model.
Yeah. And to kind of step into it and own it and really and enjoy it.
Yeah, amazing. And the reason why I bring in that idea of being a woman and having that female empowerment is because a lot of our fashion students are women.
Yeah.
And they see other women in those roles.
Yeah.
That's why I thought it was really important to have your female voice around this kind of C-suite position.
Yeah, definitely.
Inspire and encourage and motivate, because ultimately we need more and more women, filling those spaces.
Yeah,
that's really amazing.
We do.
AI, we know right now it's something that's being used daily by a whole mixed bag of people, from creatives to academics to, you name it, everybody's using it in different capacities. People are making their own agents on AI and using it in their day-to-day life.
Yeah.
I want to kind of unpack how you feel about it, A, but B, how, if, do you use it within your CEO role?
Yeah, I personally think it's great, and I think it's like we're entering a whole new era, right? Which is exciting.
Yeah, let's be positive about it.
Yeah,
the robot's going to take over. No.
I don't think that. It's something that is on my mind a lot, and with the founders that I work with, we're talking a lot about what do we need to do now to get ahead of this and to make it work for us. And I think it's going to be hugely beneficial, but I also don't think that it, especially for creative, for us as a creative industry, I don't necessarily think it's going to be a negative thing and take away from true creativity.
Yeah. I think it's going to enhance, isn't it? Really?
I think so. I think it's a good source of knowledge. I think it's definitely helped me. It helps me a lot. When I don't have time, I just need the answer.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes.
It's great. But ultimately, we're product-based.
Yeah.
It's a creative industry, we're product-based, that's going to come from the designers. So I think there's always going to be room for creativity. We're also, especially in jewellery, we are emotion-based. We're human to human. Yeah. There's so much emotion that goes into buying a piece of jewellery for someone or for yourself.
Yeah, totally.
And so it can't take away from that.
Yeah, that human connection can't be removed, I don't think, by AI.
Totally, yeah. Talking to the students, it's very much about, the skill sets outside of AI that can't be replaced, and that's sales.
Yes.
You're never going to replace an amazing sales experience with somebody.
Totally. What AI can do is help look at your sales analysis, but they can't sell your product.
No way.
Yeah.
But I also do put into it, treat me like you are my ruthless mentor.
Right.
And tell me the truth about what you think I should do.
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. So let's unpack, what does it actually mean to be a CEO of a company?
My role is probably a little bit different to like CEOs in bigger companies, because I have the 2 founders here with me, and so they also bring their own skill sets. So Rosanna is, very brand focused. She's very the sustainability officer for the business, and Christy is the creative director.
Yeah.
For me as a CEO, I'm in a lot of meetings. I do a lot of meetings around planning, especially at the business size that it's at. We need to keep things on time, to budget.
Yes.
And we also need to be analysing what we're doing to move forward. So we're recapping. For example, tomorrow we have a big meeting to recap how Black Friday went.
Right. Okay.
So we take our learnings and we get that down.
And then you take actions for going forward.
As a CEO, I've also always got to be thinking about how we're pushing the business forward. So for me at the moment, I'm thinking about next year. I'm doing a lot of planning around next year. We have 2 new potential retail spaces that we're looking to open. So there's a lot of planning that goes into that. But then at the same time, I'm negotiating with landlords around that.
That answers my question, because I was thinking, you talk about planning for next year, but are you talking about collaborations or pop-ups or product or what? No, it's more like the business side of it. So numbers, space, growth.
Exactly.
Marketing, does that come?
I sit in on marketing, but it's not really
just so you know what's going on.
I know what's going on. I look at it more from the digital marketing side of things, so I want to know how much it's costing us to advertise and what return on that ad spend we're getting.
Right. You really are a business woman.
So I would look at the P&L and the cash flow nearly every day. I speak to our finance manager weekly. And then I'm also looking at like markets that we need to expand into. So for example, the US and Australia are 2 big markets for us. So I'm kind of trying to think like, what's our best route to market there?
Right.
And what will it cost us? And how do we operationally do that?
So right now, is Otiumberg's main market the UK?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
and out of the UK, would you say London is the most spent?
Yeah, London, for sure. I would say no day is the same. Like today I came in thinking I was going to have a nice coffee, you were going to arrive, but we had an absolutely amazing day online yesterday and we were underprepared. Wow. So, I had to kind of pivot and make sure that we had extra hands for our, where we pick and pack. And so
again, you've been kept on your toes, you've got to just turn your head and your hands to every different thing that's been thrown at you.
I mean, you're always putting out fires.
Yes.
What I try to do is I try to have a day at home a week so I can execute on that day with no meetings, clear my mind.
Yeah, and implement all the things that you've got on your list. And I want to know a little bit about where you were just before Otiumberg. Yeah. So what sort of pivotal moments in your previous brands led you to where you are today, and who were those previous brands?
After Cat, I went to House of Holland.
Oh, fab.
With Henry, who a lot of your students, I'm sure, if they don't know, they need to get to know, because his story is incredible.
Yes.
So Henry was CEO and creative director, and I was COO. And that was amazing. Henry really taught me so much more about the marketing side of the business and also different kind of models, licensing and collaborations. And also we did Fashion Week twice a year.
Yes.
So that was an amazing experience just to understand what goes into that show.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. After House of Holland, I went to be COO at Ragged Priest.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So a very different brand here, isn't it?
Yeah, very different.
All of them, really, from Kat McConey to Henry Holland, Ragged Priest, Otiumberg.
Very broad experience, yeah. I was COO again at Ragged Priest, and that was the point where I thought, how am I going to move into CEO? One of the things that I kind of recognised was like, I think I need some more education. And so
education is key, students.
What I loved, and this harks back to, telling you how about the tribunal, was law. Wow. And so I thought, a law degree would really give me CEO.
Wow. Throwing yourself in right at the deep end there on you. It's a big one.
Yeah, so I just completed a law degree.
Fantastic. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
How long was the degree?
4 years.
4 years. Wow.
So, but I did that whilst working as a COO.
Wow.
Full time. So it's been a big few years.
Yes.
It's hard to kind of explain, but it did give me this like emotional maturity around business, and also critical thinking skills.
Ooh.
Which I don't think I would have got working just, you know, ploughing along.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that I took the time out to do that, and I very much focused all the modules that I took was around business. So it was a great course because I was living it.
Yes.
And
you're having like, you know, first-hand experience whilst learning about it.
So I was like negotiating contracts and actually learning the theory behind.
Yeah.
Whereas before that, I had just learnt from like listening in and being like, I think that's what this contract should say. But now I actually have
the theory to back it up.
The theory to back it up. So I think that was really pivotal in moving me forward.
Critical thinking is such an important element of education, especially at level 6 for our final year students. And that's the kind of thing that sets you apart from level 4 student. And then that critical thinking comes up again in law.
Yeah.
Like, it is such a specific soft skill that we require in order to be able to make those be a decision maker.
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
You know, like, it's all right being part of a brand and part of a business, a successful business, but when you're in such a powerful role like yours, what is that point of difference to be that decision maker? And I think that's it, critical thinking.
It is, yeah.
So do you find that on a day-to-day basis you are having those moments of thinking critically what's going to happen next?
Yeah, definitely. When I was younger, and you're so passionate, critical thinking removes that. It removes the kind of urgency around making decisions and perhaps the emotion around making decisions.
Yes.
I'm able to like look at a problem and remove the emotion and think through the different scenarios and then bring it back to like what would obviously work best for the business.
Yeah.
I did learn that through studying and through looking at we would look at cases differently and look at like different businesses differently and debate and discuss it. And that was a skill I really honed from the study.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I want to now touch on the area around sustainability. So Otiumberg is a B Corp certified company.
That's right.
So can you tell us a little bit more about that and how, from a jewellery perspective, can you ensure that that kind of message is, key to the customer?
It was really, really important to the founders that we were B Corp certified. It is a strong kind of ethic and value point for them. Like, it's very hard as a jewellery brand to get B Corp certified, because it's tricky to know where the recycled gold comes from, the recycled silver, all that kind of thing. But we work really hard on transparency. We're also really big into lab-grown diamonds as opposed to natural diamonds. Yeah. And that's controversial at the moment in the jewellery industry, but it's something that we really pride ourselves on being ahead of the game on. Because I think, in years to come, lab grown is doing what I think is wonderful, is making beautiful stones accessible to everybody. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that I love about Otiumberg is it is about beautiful design, but it is about accessibility. Yeah, totally. And making sure that more people can have beautiful product and beautiful items. Yeah. Look, it's not easy on the business, we have to do a lot of regulatory things to keep up our certification. I like it though. I think it's really good for a small business. We have to think about, it goes, from transparency in the supply chain, but it also covers, exclusivity and diversity in our team. And I think that's really great. A lot of small businesses don't get any kind of access to that kind of, this kind of programs or mindsets. Yeah. So I really like it, but it is, on a small business, it's cumbersome. Yeah. What I really loved about, Rosanna and Christy was that how committed they were to that. And I think for a small business and a small team, it can only get better, and it can only be wonderful for the team members that get exposure to all of that.
Absolutely. And also, obviously, in 2027, I want to say, all products have to have a DPP, a digital product passport. Yeah. And is that something that you guys are working towards?
We're working on it now. There's also been some changes in the EU about packaging laws. So we have to register in all of the EU countries around packaging, and if we meet a certain quota, we have to pay a certain fee. So
it's costing the company more as well.
Yeah, but these are the things that we're committed to, because I think, we're all aligned on wanting, that sustainability and what comes with that is really important.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is your first CEO role, and are you loving it?
Yeah. Oh Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What a fabulous brand as well to be part of. Like,
beautiful brand. Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
One last thing, if you have any advice for students, what would it be?
Take your part-time jobs seriously.
That's a good one.
In your part-time jobs, do everything you can to be the most excellent at it, because it will only lead to good things later. And the second thing I would say is my number one thing every day is be curious.
Yes, curiosity.
Ask
Absolutely.
the questions. You know, sometimes even when I think, oh God, I can't be bothered with this meeting, my curiosity
Yes,
always makes a difference.
for sure.
I ask the questions that probably everyone in the room is thinking is too scared to say.
Yeah, amazing. We always need that person.
It always leads to more knowledge, and I always believe more will be revealed. So I don't make really quick decisions. I usually wait because more will be revealed.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, thank you so much, Áine.
You're so
wow,
welcome.
what an incredible time chatting with Áine. And I really hope that you've learned so much, because I certainly have. So please go onto the YouTube, make sure you subscribe, Making It Creative Careers Unlocked, and you'll find all the previous episodes too. And of course, the one with the one and only Áine, the CEO of Otiumberg. Thank you so much.